Guys, girls, students, lend me your ears. How are you today?
Well, thank you, sir.
Apart from my throat, I'm good. Anybody online doing well? No problem?
So,
Yes?
can I just say something?
You
So,
can.
I spoke to my manager yesterday, and she's studying industrial psychology.
Yes.
And we were both having a conversation because she takes some business modules.
Yes.
But like none that I've like taken in my students. But even she said that like, the things that I've been learning in consumer behavior is linked so much to what she studied with like psychology.
A great deal, and you'll see, as a matter of fact, when we do the personality theories today, especially Freud. Freud is very well known as he was a psychologist, and it basically, as I said at the start, we've jumped with the angle into today's session. One commented on a colleague at work who's studying industrial psychology, and that there's many links between what she's studying and what you guys are doing in consumer behavior. And I think it basically just proves the point that we've made right at the start of the module, that your whole approach why do we do consumer behavior? I asked myself the same question more than 30 years ago when I had it as a third-year subject at varsity, and I was doing just a straight BCom. And then I realized, you know what? The one thing that remains, the center of every business, regardless if you are a guest house offering a service to customers, or if you are a retail shop selling products to customers, the customer is king. The more you know about the customer and their patterns and their behaviors, the better you'll be in offering them the service that they expect, and alternatively turn a better profit, because if they experience a good or have a good experience, then they will be loyal to you, and they'll keep on supporting you. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Slightly off the subject, but the bottom line still remains the same. Why are we studying? Why do we have to look at and not in detail understand Freud's psychoanalytical theory about personality? It gives us a better understanding of the customers that we're working with. We also, in the process, realize that every single one is uniquely different. So how do you manage that? The challenge lies in finding similar behavioral patterns, and then group those people together, because then you can target them specifically. Interesting fact, it's in the news since yesterday that Pick n Pay has bought all the Clicks pharmacies. Okay, so if you're not going to go to Clicks anymore, you're going to go to Pick n Pay. I know there's some Pick n Pays who already have pharmacies inside, but that's going to become a Clicks now. And I think that we're talking about more than 900 outlets in South Africa. I'm pretty sure that similar to Pick n Pay clothing, Pick n Pay liquor, Clicks will now become Pick n Pay pharmacy. They're not going to all of a sudden throw some of the aisles out in the shop itself and replace it with a pharmacy. Those who have that capacity will probably convert to that format. But the Clicks, you'll find that in the majority of centers where the Pick n Pay is an anchor tenant, there's also a Clicks, and they're quite close by. It's usually a Pick n Pay, the supermarket, the retail outlet. Then you have some of the line shops on the way to the main entrance, which has changed from 30 years ago, where the main entrance was outside. So if you want to go to another shop, you have to go out and into another shop again. Now the mall layout is as such that you have to walk past 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 shops to the anchor tenant's entrance. In this case, as we discussed in Pick n Pay. And you'll find it very close to, if not right next to, the Pick n Pay supermarket entrance. You'll find Pick n Pay clothing, if there's a Pick n Pay clothing. Pick n Pay liquor will be very close to it as well, if not right next to it. And similarly to Clicks. So it's fascinating that business is, but it makes sense. It makes sense. That's how big businesses diversify, by instead of reinventing the wheel or going into competition with clicks. They say, well, you guys are here already, you're specialists and experts in that field. We are just offering our existing customers more to choose from, and it's more of a one-stop shop experience. Because how many times I choose, because I've got a Smart Shopper card, and I also Cape Consumers card, so I do a lot of shopping at Clicks. So I choose my centers where I go to Clicks. So if there's a Clicks in a mall that there's no Pick and Pay, I will still go there because I want to Clicks. Now it's I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to see after a number of years how many customers have been converted to go to Clicks because they are Click supporters, but then they go elsewhere to do their grocery shopping. Who now convert and say, well, I'm here because it's part of the chain. Yes, Warren.
So I wonder how many customers Clicks is going to use, because if there are people who might be loyal to like the brand Woolworths and use Clicks.
Yes.
But now they're going to be using Woolworths, whereas they would usually shop at Pick and Pay, they're going to be shopping at Pick and Pay.
It's very much like that could probably, and I would say that was probably the main strategy behind this move from Pick and Pay. To say, well, let's convert some customers who are not necessarily loyal, but who are supporters of other brands like Woolies and ShopRite and Checkers and Spar, and let's offer them. What don't we offer them that they go elsewhere for? Yeah. And let's add that, because you can. I gradually, over a period of time, I've seen that some of the products, some of the pharmaceutical products that I've bought, that is that's over the shelf type of medicine and products, pharmaceutical products, were not available in those Pick and Pay aisles anymore. And then, I need to switch my phone off. Sorry, my apologies. Thank you very much. Oh no. There we go. So yeah, that in my opinion is probably a very interesting strategy for them to try and not steal, convert customers to rather shop there because they're there already.
And it's almost like they forcing them to be made aware of the Pick and Pay pharmacy.
Yeah.
Just like where else do you go? If you have if Clicks has your script and everything for your medication, you're going to keep on going.
Of course.
You're going to become...
None of those services are going to change. No, it's still going to be there. You can now pick up... initially, what they did is, I think Checkers was the first one to start that, is when you're buying bus tickets and even CompuTicket. You could buy and collect it from Checkers. There was a little kiosk at Checkers that you could do that. So that's an ever-evolving process of businesses attempting to improve the shopping experience of their customers. And I think this is a clever move. I'd like to know how much how involved the original or the original founder of Pick and Pay, Mr. Rainer Ackerman, was in the process, because I know that he said he's retired, but he's actually not going to retire. He's not going to disappear. I'm pretty sure most of these guys behind the scenes are still involved. But that would be a kind of strategy that's common to how he has over 50 years, because Pick and Pay, I think, is 51 years old. One of the few things that's younger than me. Anyway, one of the we started chapter 10 and studying personality, and we realized that if a person's personality is such a great reflection of who they are, and very much influence how they react and act in certain situations. In other words, how they behave. And if we have a better understanding of that, then we probably will be able to offer customers a better service because that, at the end of the day, still remains our main objective. This is the only class where I cannot get rid of that particular bar at the bottom. That one on the screen, really. Anyway, but it doesn't show on the recordings. That's interesting. Anyway, let's not let's quit while we're ahead. At least we have touch wood. This is wood, isn't it? Stable internet this morning. Freud's interesting character. Whenever personality and psychology comes up, you'll find the name Freud pops up. Very well known as a psychologist who did a lot of research. I think he was one of the first ones who did formal research on trying to understand the human nature better. Freud's theory basically premises on the fact that whatever motivates you as a customer has different whatever motivates or drives you as a customer, and is done on not just a conscious level, but mostly on an unconscious level. Many of the things we do without us actually realizing that we've done it, because it was either part of our initial learning, or it is from birth has been part of our identity or personality, so to speak. Now, he has basically 3 states that he says in his theory that form part of his theory, psychoanalytical theory. That is, firstly, that every personality has an ID, has an ego, and has a superego. Let's look at each of them individually. What does it mean? What is your ID? Your ID is basically your psychic energy. In other words, you're born with it. Okay, that psychic energy that you have is born with it, and is one of the important components from birth of your personality. And the aspects of your personality that's entirely unconscious, and it includes your instinctive and your primitive behaviors. In other words, it's like it drives it's driven by instant gratification and satisfaction. If you have a need, it's like a baby crying. A baby cries for 2 reasons.
Hungry or tired.
Dirty nappy or hungry. Okay. Simple as that. Yes, the other one happens too, but yeah. So when baby cries, often if you know that you've just changed the nappy, it means that they are hungry. If you feed them and they're still crying, then you know they're sick. Okay, those are the 3 signs. Take some hints. Parenting 101. Okay, for future. Those are the dead giveaways. Okay, and invest in some good nappies and good bum cream. Okay, those are the 2 things, because you don't want
Good nappies and good nappies.
Yes, yes. If they cry, without a doubt, without a doubt. So if a baby cries, for instance, and you know you've changed the diaper, and you fed them already. The second go-to is that they must be hungry, so you feed them, and they want to be fed now. You can't. Babies, when they wake up, we know that they sleep in irregular patterns. Okay, so when they wake up, they're usually hungry. Firstly, you change the nappy because they woke up because the nappy is dirty. Okay, not nice. So now they wake. Now they want to eat. Then they're going to go back to sleep. They don't want to. Sorry, it's not lunchtime yet. No, they want to be fed now. Okay, so that is from birth, inherently in you, is part of your personality, is that you want to be satisfied now. Okay, immediately. Okay, but it's not always the correct thing to do. It's not always good manners. It's not always. It's sometimes frowned upon by society, especially when if that is not addressed correctly from early on, then kids start behaving or misbehaving in toy shops and in supermarkets. Okay. Some parents never take the kids to the supermarket because you won't behave yourself and it's going to be a difficult exercise. No, you have to expose them to get to that social interaction, which is a part of the NEO-FREUDIAN theory we'll do later on, which is basically based on your social interaction with others that impact on your forming of your personality. But yeah, we're still dealing with the individual. So sometimes, you know what, that kind of behavior, I mean, don't you hate it when kids jump up and down and scream and shout because, Mommy, I want this, or were you like that? You probably were like that, you can't remember, okay? If you were and you can't remember, then your kids will be like that one day as well, okay? I promise you. Justice. We'll come back. Anyway, this is not a parenting one-on-one module, but it will hopefully assist us to understand better why people behave in a certain manner, because sometimes it's instinctive. It happens unconsciously because it's just been part of us from the day we were born. The next one is our ego. Our ego. Our ego basically sort of suppresses it could be conscious, unconscious, or pre-conscious, basically meaning that it puts everything into reality. What is more sort of expected in good manners and good behavior, for instance. So your ego says, whoa, hang on. I know that you're hungry, but hang on. You're not going to die. You're going to get food, but you're not going to get food now. Okay, so it sort of expresses your more acceptable manner. It sort of puts a damper on you just wanting to be satisfied, constantly satisfied immediately when the need arises. Let's say, for instance, you're in the meeting, and the meeting drags on and on and on, and you're getting hungry. Okay. Your ID would say, let's jump up and run out and go and get me some snacks. Your ego would say, hang on, it's okay. We know you're hungry, but the acceptable behavior is to actually just wait till the break in session. In the meantime, the hunger is not going to go away, but you're going to start thinking of what you want when you get the opportunity. So it suppresses that kind of irrational reaction. Okay.
The ego is the ID.
Yes, pretty much. Our superego. Superego, they say, sort of starts developing in your personality around from about age 5. And that now brings in your sort of internal moral standards. Okay. Your conscious, what in a certain situation is the correct thing to do, what's morally acceptable. Because now you've sort of developed your personality to a point where there's been interaction with other individuals, initially up to age about 5, usually in the household that you grew up, in the culture that you grew up, and that's the kind of exposure you'll get, and that forms part of forming your values and beliefs according to what your culture is in which you were born. That is your superego. If we can put it into a how do we get rid of that ball? Huh? I've got no idea.
So what about the 3 dots there?
I've tried that. No, the 2 dots, those dots. No, that just gives you more options of opening the chat box and stuff like that. There you see, there's those options. It never gives you any of these other.
So you can drag it. Yeah.
I've tried that, and then I'm not getting satisfactory reaction to it as well. See, if you drag it and you click on it, then it basically just changes the screen.
Is it left or right on the screen?
I've tried both. See, that was the right one. Okay, so the image of what I've just said about the image to surmise the new Freud's psychoanalytical theory about personality is that there's you in the middle. Here's your ID that says, "Oh, let's go for it." Okay. Let's jump class today. Let's just go. And then your super ego would say, "Oh, no, it's not the right thing to do." Okay. Maybe in a situation where there's a fight. Okay, your ID would say, "Yes, go in. Take out your phone, capture the images, put it on and upload it to YouTube." Your super ego would say it's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is actually to try and prevent the fight from happening. So intervene and try and break the guys apart. Your ego would say, you know what? Isn't there another way? What is the best way? Okay, so again, just to summarize, those are the three components of our personality according to Freud's theory. Okay, everybody, any questions? Anybody online who have any questions? Nobody? Can everybody hear me clearly online? Because I have not had a squeak from you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Right. By the way, I'm just going to drop it here. Don't write it down yet. But I've got a provisional date for your exam in June. We're just fine-tuning everything, double-checking it for clashes, ensuring that everything. And as a matter of fact, I said to Cornay before the session start. We almost constantly on a daily basis have meetings, modular specific meetings about what should happen in semester 2, what's the contact going to be. At this point, it's still online. The assessment will still be done online. And the date we have down on the current timetable is the 30th of June. Okay, so just keep it in mind. Forget about it until I confirm it. But that's the idea, yes.
But do you know when the exams are going to start?
It's going to be open all day.
Do you know when the exams?
The exams from about the 21st. Yeah, I think the first exams are on the 21st. I'm not sure if what those modules are. I've only checked mine, but I have the full timetable. We can maybe on Thursday I can, because after tomorrow afternoon's meeting, I should have a better idea. And I might be able to provide you with all the dates. Okay. But no, the way things currently work is I think Monday the 21st is when the assessment period starts, and it's a 2-week assessment period. And the week prior to that is a class-free week, it's a study week, as it says on your module schedule. Then there will be no contact. We will be available like we have been last year during June, just prior to the exams, with remedial sessions. And then obviously I will do some revision prior to us going into study week, because in your study week you're not just going to focus on one module. Okay, you'll have your own plans and as to how you do.
If you have any questions, go comment in the college. Sometimes you think that the best time to email a lecturer, and but sometimes they put their response when you need it.
Throughout the semester, or just specifically referring to the exam period now?
Sorry?
Specifically referring to the exam period now, or throughout the semester as well?
No, exams now. So if I want more of a lecture, what time would be best? Like, we got probably a year.
Let me ask that question tomorrow. Let it ask that question to them tomorrow, just to make sure that I can get you the correct feedback when we chat again on Thursday. Because I know that last year we had, within that period, we had a scheduled sessions that was made available to the student. beforehand, so you know exactly what, because I know, and because we don't have classes either. There's no contact sessions either during that period. It means that for us, business continues as usual. It means that we will be available during normal business hours, which is basically 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I definitely, before a particular exam for my students on modules that I teach, I try and extend my hours, because I know that if you're battling with something now, your IDs, the ID part of your personality is going to kick in. You want the answer now as well. Otherwise, I mean, there's no point. So, yeah, we are more alert for even a faster reply to questions, because that's about the only medium that you have. No problem. Right. Any questions? Any questions? No questions. Interestingly enough, I said to one of the students before the class started this morning, some research that has been done, quite a substantial number of people involved in the research about testing blood samples. The Blood Donating Association of South Africa did the research during January, specifically antibodies in your blood, COVID antibodies in your blood. In other words, indicating that you have built an immune to it. To compare that with the number of cases that we have identified, which means that if the number is different, there might be people who got COVID, who had COVID, who never knew it because we're asymptomatic, basically. And there's many of people like that. You have it, but you don't know you have it. But obviously, your blood will indicate that those antibodies is present in your system, indicating that you've had it, which is significant because it means that it will help you, because at the rate that we're currently being vaccinated, it's going to take a while for everybody to be vaccinated, and that will be very helpful, positive news to indicate that yeah, some people actually don't have to be, because they already have those antibodies in the system. Anyway, just interesting fact. We try and share interesting facts on a daily basis. Part of tomorrow's session also would be to indicate what the rest of the year would look like, as the contact sessions on campus, online classes, and stuff like that. Okay, so we're already planning that for second semester, because although we know that everything can change in a moment, because if we go into a more severe lockdown stage again, it can impact or would impact the number of students that are permitted on campus. But we're not going to get ahead of ourselves, but we need to plan for all different possibilities. Right. Neo-Freudian theory, as opposed to the Freud's psychoanalytical theory, says that your personality is not just formed by you. You're born with it, and all your experiences that you have and that you gain through interaction, social interaction with other people in the environment, in the relationships that you form with friends, with teachers, with family, they all shape and influence your personality. Okay. Often we find that people who are, we as people are very quick to label somebody. If you're a quiet individual, you're immediately labeled as an introvert. Okay, doesn't necessarily mean that you are. I know that my younger son, for instance, for many years, I mean, I think probably up to grade 8, I've had that experience with his teachers. Every single first semester, first term finished, called in. Your son is very quiet. He doesn't say a lot in class. Well, ma'am, let me warn you, sir, let me warn you. You don't want him to start talking. That's his personality. He susses things out when he feels comfortable with the environment and everybody around him, his classmates, as well as the teachers, everything. We talk again. Lo and behold, for almost 8 out of the 11 years that he's been in school, after June, I get calls, I get emails. How do I shut him up? I hope that's not a train, because I mean, I would. He calls more than the service. He maybe just needs a lighter underneath the hood. Oh my word! Sorry. Even the people online probably heard that. Good luck for anybody driving in front of that vehicle today. May those products be delivered where they were intended. But probably more than a service, but definitely a serious look at the brakes. Anyway, yeah, as I said, my son then obviously warmed up to the situation, and I got those feedback from the teachers to say, what do we do to keep him quiet? I said, I warned you. Now, our personalities are all different. If you meet him for the first time, you'll probably immediately label him as an introvert. And my other son is exactly the opposite. He's like a Labrador. He'll get into anybody's car without even thinking twice, because it's his personality. He just makes friends really easily. He doesn't even look to make friends. It just happens. Okay. You obviously will immediately be labeled as an extrovert, according to the NEO-FREUDIAN theory, because of how he engages and how his relationships are with other people socially. However, if you know them better, if you live with them under the same roof for their entire lives, it's actually exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. He's really the introvert. Anyway, that's basically an image of what the NEO-FREUDIAN theory is about. We are targeting, and marketers are targeting through certain products, certain individuals who want to stand out, who want to be different, who doesn't want to be again exactly the same one of the crowds, who wants to be their own person. I could never do that kind of headstand. Never. Not even with assistance from a wall at the back. This is not. But then I also had. It was very intriguing. I thought about that person. I think he's still alive, but he's way into his 90s now. But a number of years ago, when I was working in Stellenbosch, I was managing the gym in the mornings before I started my lectures at the sports science faculty, and this person came in every morning. We opened at 5. He was there before 5:30, and he immediately walked into the cloakrooms and then came out, and for 5 minutes he did a headstand like that every morning at 5:30. That was like his routine. And then later on, he actually, I think at the age of 71, he had to go for knee surgery. He was an ex-provincial rugby player, and he started training. Usually, you could set your clock. He was there 5:30 every morning, and then he goes back when he walks out after his hour session. He says, "Now I'm going to make breakfast for my wife," and then you see him the next morning again, same thing, very routinized. And then all of a sudden, he starts coming in lunchtime as well, and then before close in the evening as well, 3 times a day. I said, "Sir, what's wrong? I mean, this is completely out of your norm." And he says, "Oh, he's having knee surgery in 2 weeks." And he decides he's going to strengthen all those supporting muscles so the recovery will be better. And I realized that, you know what, I thought about that approach when I had my knee surgery in January. Obviously, I couldn't do it because the first one was an emergency operation, so I couldn't prepare myself for it. But before the second one, that's exactly what I did. I started training specific muscles and doing physio with specific muscles to assist with the recovery. And actually it helped. So there is method in that madness. Yes. Some people, because of their personality, want to be the standout. They want to be different. And we always have individuals like that, and then the majority of us, however, just go with the flow. Okay. The trade theory. The trade theory basically is based on the following: that we all have, each individual have psychological characteristics that we call traits. It could be, and many of them are actually, many of them actually like our self-confidence, for instance. Some people are more confident than others. Aggression levels. Some people's aggression levels are different to others. These are all traits that we have that's different. Okay, guys. Okay, I don't mind if you talk.
No, so I was just
No, it's fine, but then rather share because the other people can't hear what I'm saying, and then obviously. Okay.
I was just saying, I don't understand the lack of aggression.
Yes.
With people when they punch like walls and things like that. It's just,
Yeah, and break golf clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I understand it, like I can see where they're coming from, but I just, yeah. And I also read this interesting fact that with like
we're talking about aggression and why people hit walls and break golf clubs, and
there's like a split second that with aggression, I don't know if it's in everyone, but there's a split second where like you can actually kill someone.
Oh, the brain, I think.
Yeah.
I think I said that your brain actually, I think it's programmed for when you have reached certain anger.
Yeah.
Your brain can actually, in a moment, you can actually kill someone. You actually can.
it can happen, and that's why sometimes very often when these kind of things happen, later on in the investigation, it comes out that everybody says, but he's such a relaxed, passive individual. I speak to him every morning before when he takes the car out of the garage and to drop his kids off at school. And we've chatted to our neighbors over the wall, and he's just, there was no signs, and that's usually that's where those three components of our personality, where all of a sudden the one was probably just on leave for a while for that split second.
Like the ID took over.
The ID took over, and there was no actually ego to actually suppress it at that point. Maybe
that split second. That split second.
Yes. Interesting. I watch reality shows like, there are different reality shows. Some people say the Kardashians are a reality show as well. I think they're just a troubled family. But anyway, the interesting one. I watch Survivor and America's Got Talent, where people have a specific skill that will enable them to hopefully then win a competition like that. And there was one individual who had a career as a very successful career as an American football player. He was into his 30s already. He was playing his 15th or 16th season, which is uncommon because usually it's you're good for a while and then you disappear. Because of injury or many other factors, you couldn't adapt to the lifestyle or whatever. And he came onto the show, and he was a magician. And he said that he did that in his pastime. When he's on the road and the team's traveling, he keeps everybody entertained. But when you unpack, and when he actually eventually came out, because I think he was in the top 3, or he was a runner-up, or in the competition, he did very well. He told his life story. Basically, what happened is that he was off to a football camp. He was in grade 7. How old are you, grade 7? 13? 12, 13? Well, he was roughly, let's say, 13 years old. And he was off to, the Saturday morning was off, or Friday was off to a football camp. And usually his dad took him to school and dropped him off. And he went downstairs in the garage. His dad was busy working in the garage. And he said, listen, I can't take you to football today, but the neighbor's going to take you. Okay, and he thought, all right. Your mom's not feeling well. Okay, and he was off. And then halfway through the weekend, the next day, as a matter of fact, they phoned him at camp and said, listen, you've got to come home. There's problems at home. So he got home. His mother was killed. And his father did it. That changes your life. Whoop. No brothers and sisters. So he went to stay with his aunt. So you had to raise him then. And obviously he became, I'm not sure if his personality was as such at that point, but he became very much an introvert.
Yeah.
Until one day his aunt got the neighbor's son, who was into sort of amateur and magician acts and stuff like that, to come and entertain him. And he saw it and he caught on and he said, wow, that's what I need. And that's basically when he got involved with it. And he just took it on. That was his sort of coping mechanism. And especially because other people always enjoy magicians. They're always in awe of a magician. And that's what he used to also to grow his confidence again. He still continued, and obviously, yeah, with the football, he still continued because he had a skill, and that's why he turned out successful. But it's just interesting that how from being a complete extrovert, how you could as a result of something traumatic like that happening, he became an introvert, and then found through magic, then found a way to deal with it. And actually bring his original personality to the fore as well. No, it's just interesting. Yeah, the human being is a very interesting. Yeah. It's a very interesting creation of God, I have to admit. I think he probably sits back sometime on a daily basis, and I think, oh my goodness, what have I done? But it can be. I think he's also sometimes laughing a great deal because of the pleasure that some people provide him. But yes, the trait theory is based on the fact that we have certain specific traits, and as a result of those traits, as a result of that, we or marketers use that to ensure that those specific traits become. We know that those traits are going to take over in a decision-making process. An aggressive person is going to be a quicker decision maker because they very aggressive. Their first reaction to a confrontation is aggression, and as a result of that, the type of music even that they'll play in a supermarket where those people visit will be louder music or will be faster music because that just enhances their whole behavior of being in and out. Those type of individuals who go to the shop, this is what I want to buy. It's not, don't try and confuse him, convince him, or persuade him to buy anything else through clever advertisements or whatever. It's not going to work. He came, finished what he came for, and he's out of there. Strangely enough, also, the impact of our environment, our physical environment on our shopping and behavior patterns. Research have shown that if a shop plays music, people actually buy, people's buying experience is quicker. They don't stay there very long. They buy what they have to, and maybe a few other things, but they're out of there. But if the music that is played is not necessarily live music from a radio station, for instance, or lively music, but if it's relaxing music, people actually become more leisurely, and they stay longer, and they buy more, which is what we want. So yeah, interesting that those physical elements of an environment can play such an important role without us even knowing it. Remember, personality, we don't even know it. So ID says, this is you. Ego says, this is not you. Okay, so it does help to suppress those instinctive decisions that you want to take, but it's not always going to be the case. The next one, I think, is, well, that's just again a graphic illustration of a particular trait that I refer to introverts and extroverts. Okay, a lot of people say I'm very much an introvert. To this extent, I am, yes. Just because you're always dancing on the tables and being the center of the attention in a conversation at a function doesn't mean that you're an extrovert. People very often confuse that. Yeah, do you know people like that? It doesn't mean that person has a dual personality or that they have an alter ego. how do you find yourself? Do you find that you sometimes struggle with your personality, where you think that, you know what, this is not really who I am? Yes, what?
I think I'm like that. Like, I enjoy like going out and things like that, but I might be out and then like your social media are out, then I just want to
That's definitely me as well.
or like I don't.
I think a lot of us are like that. But then the people who see you when you are when you're really entertaining, and when you're really being very sociable, and when you are the center of the whole party, of then you provide the energy to that particular group or that outing. A lot of people see you, and then they immediately label you as being an extrovert. But actually, you say, you know what, that's who I am. I can be like that, but you also have to realize that I'm not an Energizer bunny. At some point, I'm just going to pull the plug and say, no, I've had enough. Okay. To be honest with you, I'm like that as well. I can be entertaining for as long as you want, but then when my ego decides it's enough, then I don't become unsociable, but I completely detract myself from all those fun events. Well, which is, I think a lot of us are like that. We all need some quiet. As much as it's not good just to be on your own, and I think not sufficient research have been done yet, but I'm pretty sure that there are ongoing research at the moment on the impact that COVID has had on our social behavioral patterns. While we're on that subject, I believe that from the 1st of June, Prime Minister Boris Johnson of England said that there will be no social distancing. You can do whatever you want. You can kiss, you can hug, and whatever in England from the 1st of June. I think it's a bit that's good for him. I know he's an interesting character, to say the least. I'm rather not going to use any other descriptive words, but yeah, it's fine to show that confidence that you think you've survived and you've beaten the pandemic, but yeah, in my opinion, it's a bit premature. But anyway, let's just see how it goes. But it's interesting to see that our countries already. It was interesting for me on the weekend to see in New Zealand, where they were playing a final in their rugby competition, that it was a jam-packed stadium. If it was a 50,000 capacity, there were probably 50,000 people. No masks in sight and whatever. Yeah, but again, look at their track record. Everybody's been vaccinated. They've had limited number of infections and deaths from day one. And it's not just because they have a very small population. It's yeah. Yes, Warren.
So I know that last year Lady Gaga released the album, and now everyone wants to go to the clubs and listen to it, but no one can.
Yeah.
But then, like you say, I think it was Australia or New Zealand, one of them. They were listening to the album. Now everyone's jealous because you see them like in the clubs listening to the new album.
It's like yes, it's like I feel at the moment about the next Top Gun movie. I was a huge fan of the first one, and I enjoy the trailer of the new one, and the fact that the storyline continues, that his friend Goose, who died in the first one, that his son, that his wife was pregnant with in the first movie, actually now comes to the academy where Tom Cruise or Maverick is basically training the new recruits, and then they end up together in the plane. The continuation of the storyline is great. It's definitely an IMAX experience, that one. Some movies you only watch on the big screen. You don't stream it, but I'm quite jealous that I'm looking forward to it. Fortunately, nobody has seen that. but I've heard a great deal about it. People who were involved in the production itself says it's. You think the first one was good? You think the Mission Impossible and all the stunts are good? This just goes to the next level, which is fine. I mean, anyway, not off the subject, but just examples adding to what we've said already this morning. Okay, basically, the Gestalt theory says that people do not experience the numerous stimuli that that they get, that all the different senses get from marketers as separate sensations. They see it combined with and organize it in little compartments or groups, and they see it as a whole. They don't see it as a separate. Oh, that's a nice smell. It becomes part of the total experience, and it basically triggers other senses as well, hopefully leading to a reaction of you purchasing a product. The conclusion of the Gestalt theory basically is that our personality is as much part of our interaction with our environment as it is about just our individual personality itself. It's not just us, it's our interaction in our environment that also shapes our personality. The last one that we're going to do today to finish off is Harish. Harish had 8 traits that he said he's identified and made part of his theory, and he says it's these 8 things or traits are directly linked to your genetics as well as your early learning that happens as a child. Those are the ones that you've identified. I'm going to just highlight some of them. Openness to new experiences. Yes, especially in your younger years. You try new things. Don't touch those. You're going to burn your hands. Those plates are hot. What do you know, Mum? Psst. Later on, you say, okay, thank you. I should have listened to my mum. Okay, don't stick your finger in. Okay, now you know what electricity is. Okay, so we just like to learn from experiences. How do you know if something tastes bad or not? You try it. And if it doesn't taste nice, you don't try it again. Very few of us actually will, okay, because Corneille said it didn't taste nice, then I'm not going to try it.
Yeah.
Often you're going to try it because Corneille said it didn't taste nice. You just want to say, okay, right, no, maybe he was wrong. Or what does he know, kind of thing. But that's our personality. That's how we react. Harris was not one of those who obviously became as popular and well known and well used as Freud with his psychoanalytical theory. But there is some value to the contribution that Harris and his 8-trait theory has made. Interesting personality traits that he's identified. What I'm going to finish with is that extroversion. We want gratification from outside ourselves. We want other people to compliment us. Give us good compliments and reward us if we do well. That's just part of our human nature. Okay. Any questions, anybody? Online and in class? Not today? Yes.
So the names like Harris and Freud, like, is it important to know the names and not just the theories?
I think from past experience and also from all these theories, I would say probably if you understand the distinctive element that differentiates them, it will be sufficient. In other words, what is the basis of Freud's theory? What's the basis of the new Freudian theory? What's the basis of the Gestalt theory? What's the basis of the trait theory? Those to me, these contemporary, other ones, not really, but if you just understand what the theory is about, okay, that will be sufficient. We're not going to go into detail and do a whole essay on Freud's theory and explain the ID and the ego. It was done to just give better explanation to what the theory is about. Okay, but not in that great detail. Just know what the basis of each one is and what the difference is between them. Any questions, people online? Students on campus, you're excused for the rest of the day. Enjoy yourselves, behave, regardless.
Okay, I'm going to go to the